A wealthy woman walks into a restaurant, her head held high, her heels clicking against the marble floor. But when she encounters a humble waitress, her sharp words echo louder than her designer shoes. What happens next will leave you speechless, a lesson in humility, compassion, and the true value of kindness. Don't miss this story that will stay with you long after it ends. Like, subscribe, and share for more stories that touch the heart. Once upon a time, in the bustling city of Lexington, there was a fine dining restaurant called the Sapphire Table. It was known for its elegant ambiance, exquisite cuisine, and exceptional service. The owner, James Carter, was a kind-hearted man who had worked his way up from being a dishwasher to owning one of the most prestigious restaurants in the city. James believed in treating everyone with respect, regardless of their position in life. One chilly Friday evening, a woman named Victoria St. Clair stepped into the Sapphire Table. Victoria was a wealthy socialite known for her extravagant lifestyle and a reputation for being demanding. Dressed in a designer fur coat with sparkling diamond earrings, she radiated an air of superiority. Victoria's presence often intimidated people, but tonight, her sharp tongue would meet its match. Emma Harper, a young waitress at the restaurant, was assigned to Victoria's table. Emma was in her mid-20s, with a warm smile and a hardworking spirit. She had been working at the Sapphire Table for 2 years, saving money to pay for her college education. Emma's mother had taught her the importance of kindness and humility, even in the face of adversity. Victoria scanned the menu with a look of disdain. When Emma approached to take her order, the trouble began. "I hope you know what you're doing," Victoria said coldly. "This is not some fast food joint. I expect perfection." Emma, maintaining her composure, smiled politely and assured Victoria that she would take care of everything. As the evening progressed, Victoria continued to belittle Emma with cutting remarks about her speed, her posture, and even her choice of hairstyle. At one point, Victoria sneered, "Do they hire just anyone here? You look like you should be bussing tables, not serving them." Emma's cheeks flushed, but she refused to let the words break her spirit. She remained professional and carried on with her duties, despite the humiliation. As the night went on, James Carter, the owner, was discreetly observing the situation from his office. He had a habit of keeping an eye on his staff to ensure their well-being. When he noticed Victoria's treatment of Emma, his expression darkened. But instead of intervening immediately, James decided to handle the matter in a way that would teach Victoria an unforgettable lesson. After her meal, Victoria asked for the manager. She wanted to lodge a complaint about Emma, claiming the service was subpar and that the waitress lacked the refinement required for such an establishment. James walked over to Victoria's table, his demeanor calm but firm. "Good evening, ma'am. I'm James Carter, the owner of the Sapphire Table. I understand you have a concern." Victoria raised an eyebrow, sizing him up. "Yes, Mr. Carter, your waitress was incompetent. She shouldn't be working here. Frankly, it's embarrassing." James listened patiently, then said, "I appreciate your feedback. But before we continue, I'd like to share a little about Emma. She's one of the hardest working people I've ever met. She takes care of her sick mother, works double shifts, and still finds time to volunteer at a local shelter." Victoria scoffed. "That's touching, but it doesn't excuse poor service." James's expression softened. "Ma'am, there's something else you should know. I grew up in a poor neighborhood, just like Emma. I started my career washing dishes, and people like you used to tell me I didn't belong. But here I am, owning this restaurant." Victoria's face froze, her confidence faltering. She glanced around and noticed other patrons watching the exchange. And then came the first twist. "Do you know why I decided to buy this restaurant?" James continued, his voice steady. "It's because I wanted to create a place where people are valued for their character, not their status. People like Emma represent the heart and soul of this establishment." Victoria's cheeks turned red, but before she could respond, James added, "You see, the Sapphire Table isn't just mine. It belongs to every single person who works here. They're my family, and in my family, we treat everyone with respect." Victoria's arrogance melted into shame. She mumbled an apology to Emma, who stood nearby, unsure of what to say. For the first time in a long while, Victoria felt small, not because of her wealth, but because of her actions. The second twist came weeks later. Victoria returned to the Sapphire Table, but not as a customer. She approached James with an unusual request. "Mr. Carter," she said, her tone humble, "I've been thinking a lot about what you said. I want to learn what it means to work hard and treat people with kindness. Will you let me volunteer here?" James raised an eyebrow, surprised, but he saw sincerity in her eyes and agreed. Victoria spent the next few months working alongside Emma and the rest of the staff, but the journey was far from easy. Her first day in an apron was a stark awakening. Accustomed to a life of being served, she now found herself balancing trays, scrubbing tables, and enduring the occasional impatience of demanding customers who reminded her uncomfortably of her former self. Her manicured hands, once used only to sign checks and sip champagne, became calloused from endless work. Each spill she cleaned, each plate she carried, chipped away at the walls of entitlement she'd built over decades. The first week brought tears of frustration late at night, alone in her penthouse. Yet, in those quiet moments, she began to reflect on her life. For the first time, she felt the weight of her past actions, moments when she'd looked down on others, dismissing their struggles as insignificant. Emma, though initially skeptical of Victoria's intentions, couldn't help but notice the transformation. At first, their interactions were formal and distant, but as weeks passed, Emma saw cracks in Victoria's polished exterior. One evening, after the dinner rush, Emma found Victoria sitting in the break room, staring at her hands. "They hurt, don't they?" Emma asked gently, taking a seat beside her. Victoria nodded, her voice barely above a whisper. "I never realized how hard this work is, or how invisible it feels." Emma smiled softly. "It's not invisible, Victoria. It just takes the right kind of person to see it." That conversation marked a turning point. Victoria began to see the staff not as mere employees, but as people with dreams, struggles, and stories. She learned about Carlos, the dishwasher who sent money back to his family in Mexico. She listened to Maria, the chef who worked double shifts to save for her daughter's education. And she grew closer to Emma, whose unwavering strength masked a quiet vulnerability. One particularly challenging evening, the restaurant was short-staffed, and Victoria found herself running between tables, trying to keep up with the orders. At one point, a glass slipped from her hands, shattering on the floor. The sound felt like thunder, and all eyes turned to her. Embarrassed and overwhelmed, Victoria bent down to clean it up, her hands trembling. Emma appeared beside her, silently helping her pick up the pieces. "It's okay," Emma said softly. "Mistakes happen. What matters is how we handle them." Tears welled up in Victoria's eyes. "I don't know how you've done this for so long. You're stronger than I'll ever be." Emma placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Strength isn't about never falling, Victoria. It's about getting back up." From that moment on, their bond deepened. Victoria began to confide in Emma, sharing stories of her lonely childhood and the pressure she'd felt to maintain a flawless image. Emma, in turn, opened up about her dreams of going back to school and her fears of never being able to afford it. They found comfort in each other's vulnerabilities, realizing that, despite their differences, they were more alike than they'd ever imagined. One evening, after closing, the staff gathered for a small celebration. James had ordered pizza for everyone, and the atmosphere was light and joyous. Victoria, now comfortable among her new friends, looked around the room and felt something she hadn't experienced in years: belonging. As the laughter died down, Victoria stood up, holding her glass of soda. "I just want to say thank you to all of you for teaching me what it means to work hard, to care for others, and to be part of something bigger than myself. I came here thinking I had everything, but the truth is I had nothing without people like you. You've changed my life." The room erupted in applause, and Emma smiled through tears. For the first time, Victoria's words felt genuine, not rehearsed or calculated. They came from a place of humility and gratitude, a stark contrast to the woman who had walked into the Sapphire Table months earlier. By the end of her time at the restaurant, Victoria had not only gained newfound respect for the people she once dismissed, but also formed lifelong friendships. Emma and Victoria, once worlds apart, became inseparable, their bond rooted in shared experiences and mutual growth. Victoria even helped fund Emma's college tuition, insisting it was the least she could do for someone who had taught her so much. Their journey, born from an insult, blossomed into a story of redemption, forgiveness, and the transformative power of kindness. And as Victoria walked out of the Sapphire Table for the last time, she no longer saw herself as superior. Instead, she saw herself as part of a family that had taught her the true meaning of wealth. That's the story, friends. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a pleasure sharing it with you all. Don't forget to comment below and let me know where you're watching from. It's always fun to see the global reach of these stories. And if you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button for more amazing stories, tips, and tricks. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. If you'd like to show some extra love, tap the 3 dots near the share button and send a super thanks.